Hi guys, here from Pax Europiana, this time from Linz. I want to show you some of my hometown. It's quite beautiful, but it's also quite poor. And this is one of the challenges, I work in the countries. I was active in Albania, Kosovo, Ukraine, Macedonia, Montenegro, and also a bit Bosnia and Serbia. I try to, and Moldova, of course, Moldova, Georgia, these are the 9 countries I want to bring to European standards. And I think it's also good to bring the European standards to Europe, because it's not so good, because our policy of protectionism and xenophobia, of anti-capitalism and anti-Semitism has led to not so good results. When I see, even here in Linz, it's not the prosperity we could achieve. And why? It's of course high taxation. High taxation is destroying the productivity and creates a lot of informality. And of course we have too much regulation, and it's difficult to fulfill. And then there is informality, and then there are shortcuts. And of course what we have is a lack of political leadership here to explain that we need more openness to people. That means we are too xenophobic, and we are closing our labor market, and that's very problematic for our economic growth. And then additionally we have this significant problem with protectionism in our goods markets, in our trade policy. And it's all connected with a lack of political elite, with a vision of readiness to open up towards Europe and towards, especially in the case of Austria, towards the Balkans. And now, for example, it is the day when this day was announced that Croatia will join the EU, also not join the Euro, but this took us from 2013 to now. The question is, how long does such decisions take, and why they are taking so long, and what we are doing, why we are losing so much time with our failed policy. And then you have the results in Linz, which are not satisfactorily. I see richer streets in Tirana today. Yes, I mean, this is not so good. Nobody can be so happy with these results. And why? Because of our foreign policy, very bad, but the economic policy and the integration policy, it's not sufficient. I mean, instead of welcoming people and integrating them, we more or less separate them and segment them. This is not good. And the older people who would like additionally to come, we tell them they are not welcome. And that's not the Europe I was dreaming about. Maybe it was an illusion in '94, but I'm bitterly disappointed how badly managed our EU membership is. And this populism of the last 10 years, deep disappointment. And that's not good enough. I will now share some of my background and also my European and NATO flags I have with me. And I will say that Linz, in the spirit of a European Austria, is really failing, and the whole of Austria with it. And because of these very tragic ideological mistakes which we are doing for too long. And it has to end, I think so. The buck stops here in the war in 2022, when all this kind of pro-appeasement policy was utterly shattered. And it's devastating result. And in the name, I repeat it, it's also my campaign today. I will share this, because I'm from the Christian student fraternities. These are conservative Christian people, and I hope some of them are also market liberals, and hopefully all of them should be for NATO. And with our votes, ultimately, what is done in Vienna for kind of a policy? This is very disturbing, and I'm completely against that. Because here in Upper Austria, people would naturally benefit from more openness, freedom, and from lower taxes, more transparency, more accountability, and less Russia in Austria, and less of this Russian energy policy, the whole foreign policy which we did in the last 15 years, since we joined. It's utterly a disaster and a disappointment. And of course, Upper Austria is also for NATO membership. I will explain that in a separate video. But I will do also some videos in Germany, in German language, because I will call for the opening of Upper Austria, but I want to also make an appeal for NATO membership today, because it's absolutely, that's why I have my NATO membership here with me, I'm absolutely for that, and I will explain why this is decent. You know, the politics, you know, you can call it conservative, liberal, Christian democratic, green even, yeah, even social democrats. Everybody who is for freedom, for security, who can be for atrocities. I mean, who can justify atrocities, war crimes and aggression? I think, of course, yeah, in the FPÖ maybe, some of them, because they are funded by Putin and they repeat his lines. But otherwise, nobody. And I'm also completely against the current coalition, which is done here. The local government, the regional government, has a coalition with the Putin party. And that's of course deeply problematic. And I will protest against this, all of this. And I will make that very clear today, in this beautiful day in Linz. It's the 4th of June, special day for me. My grandfather was born, God bless him. He was obviously also fighting against the Russians. And yes, there's many grandfathers of these Upper Austrians, because then we end up always to have to pay in the lives and bloods of our Upper Austrian and Western Austrian people when the foreign policy of Vienna and Berlin leads to complete disaster. They are always happy to send some good farm boys to die on the steppes of Ukraine and the defense of Europe or on the Balkans. And that's the history of Upper Austrian links with that beautiful regions. And I think that's absolutely wrong. Let's be different in our foreign policy towards a clear alliance with America. That's my conclusion out of the First, Second and the Cold War, that we should be with America. I know most Austrians and our foreign policy establishment prefers to be with Russia. They have basically crossed the lines into Russia, and I'm just not agreeing. I never agreed with them. I've always been for NATO membership. Now it's the opportunity with Sweden, Finland calling for NATO, and I will certainly call for NATO as well, because it's the only way to make peace in Central and Southeastern Europe, in the Balkans. The peace in the Balkans depends on NATO membership of Austria, because then there is no bad example anymore for Serbia and for its pro-Russian policy. And if we are not ready to join NATO, how can we ask the Serbs to do that? And our Upper Austrian soldiers, or Carinthians or Steiermark, who are serving in Bosnia and in Kosovo to defend these countries and the international NATO secured borders of these countries, they will have probably no danger to be exposed to, because they will be able to be safe. So it's, I think, very much connected what we can achieve in terms of NATO membership. It's very much connected to security of our guys, and so many other aspects I will explain today on my visit to the Austrian, it's called Penela dog. I will make my small statements over there, and I will meet some friends, and I will share some of it with you guys. From Paxa Rupiana I'm calling, and yes, Linz, with all its tragic history, has a good future ahead, because we will be in NATO and we will also be a real European Austria. Be sure about it. The process might be very painful and might be a long-term struggle. It's possible. I don't know how successful I will be in this campaign, but I will definitely wage it, and I thank for your support. I hope we will be successful together, and I will keep you posted here from Linz. And by the way, one last statement here. Let's end the dependency on Russian energy immediately, please. Bye.